Good evening. Welcome to another video in the Artful Coder series, in the SQL series. Today I thought I'd cover link server. So what is a link server? Effectively is a connection from within SQL to another database. Now there are times when you may want to use this when you want to pull data from a core server to a reporting server. You will need to use a link server. Now there are two types of connections when you query, but we'll go over that. So you've got OPENQUERY and you've also got four-part naming convention, but I'll cover both ways. So what do we need to do to start off? So what we're just going to do is disconnect and do connect because it's easier to do this. Let's see if this does that. So server name is 00kev. So let's just go back. Apologies, just connect up to it. So what do we need to do? So let's say from within our cars database, we want to get a list of video games that those people with cars have played. So let's just pretend that the cars database is on another server. This could be a MySQL backend or anything like that. So what you need to do is to add a link server. Go to server objects, link servers, right click, add new link server. Second, give it a name. Let's call this alpha link. You could call LNK sample DB. And the data source is that. We're not going to specify, before we do that, 2 seconds is another step, apologies. Let's go log in, let's create an account. Oh, there is one. So let's create another one. Let's create a new one just so I can remember. And let's call this sample data LNK for linked. And what we're going to do, we're not going to do that. Let's go to random password generator and do this. And let's just do random password. So this is a password we're going to use. So if we load up Notepad, make almost some bits in the place. Yep, this is what I've been playing about. Let's just put the password in Notepad and move it out of the way for a second so we don't forget it. And then the next thing we need to do is we need to sign it some, put the password in there. We've got that. And let's go to user mapping. Let's say that this account can read data from sample. Let's go general, yeah, okay. Right, so you have to have a security account. And then let's go back to link servers, do new link server, and call this LNK sample data DB. Okay. Leave that as it is. You could change it, but it does the job. Yes, you might get the option SQL Server, which does work, but then it gets a bit confusing. So just stick with this. So if we say 00 kev, and we're going to security, and make sure on security tab you choose a login. So ours was sample data LNK. And that lovely password generator, just click that. And what I'm going to tell you now is if you're doing data warehousing and you're querying data that can take quite a while, the connection timeout and query timeout increments in seconds. So 60 seconds would be a minute and 600 is 10 minutes. But what I'd probably do is say 20 minutes for both of these, because what they enable you to do is pull quite a bit of data. You can have it for an hour or longer. So just click OK. There you go. We've got a linked server. So within that, it's going to show us our catalogs. Look, just like this. We've got, so that should mirror that. Okay. So then within that, and what you can also do from your linked server is script table as select to new query window. And this is four-part naming convention. So what this means is the first part of it is the server link server name, then your target database, which we have sample DB data, the schema, and the table name. Now, if I do this, it's gonna, hang on, yeah, that will get me everything, and it's quite quick. So I've got every single record in the game's table. So you can already see that's the way you can do that. So let's just go ahead in our cars and create. And again, the beauty of this, you could join this to native tables on your databases. So I don't think we've got anything that's going to correlate to it. That's going to be, no, there's no cars in there. So that is a 4-part name convention. So what we're going to do is just going to change that to cars DB. And let's do create view v games I'll just call it 4-part name conv as that. Okay, so we've now got our view in here, so if we refresh this, and again, this can be to an external server, so if you want to connect to a server completely off your architecture, you would basically make sure you have your firewalls are all set, etc. You're going to have your account set up that's locked down just to read. You could say it can only access certain information. So that's our 4-part naming convention. The other way you can do this, and there is a difference. So what I'm going to say is I'm going to say OP for open, OQ for open query. And the other way you can do this is you can copy this and do this. Watch this. You say select all from open query, paste your server name in, then put single quote. We don't need the go anymore because it doesn't make any sense. And what we do need is a closing bracket. So this is another way of doing it, but we don't need the link serve because it will get confused. So what happens, the difference between a 4-part naming convention and open query is with 4-part, it's doing like any filters on the local server. So what that means is there is a potential that it will go and retrieve the whole of this table here and then filter it down. But the beauties of open queries, the link server passes your query to the target server, executes it fully. So if you've got any where clauses you want to do, etc., and things like that, you can do. And then it basically passes the result set back. So there is a difference that I want you to be aware of. So let's just do execute. There you go. So we've got 2 views. So if we do views, and this is the open query. Again, 1,000 rows, quite quick because there's not a lot of data and it's on the same box. Or 4-part naming convention. Now, unfortunately, the open query doesn't allow you, unless you store it into a table, which you could do. You could then do a CTE to say, well, go and get me the games first from the open query and then join on your local data. It just depends how much data you're pulling back as to what method works for you. But the 2 totally valid ways of doing link server queries. Then you may also need to have things like with no lock. So if you're pulling from a database that's got a lot of data, you just want to do a dirty read to pull the data, there is warnings associated with that. You could just simply put with, and that doesn't create any locks on the database. And let's do alter view. And the same again, if I just do that. And now when I run it, there you go. But there is a caveat with that because what we're doing, we're still fetching our full data set, even via OpenQuery. So if we just want the top one of those, 10 say, and we execute that now, and we go back here or here, we only get 10 back, even though we specified 1,000 in here, because in our query we said only the top 10. So that is being handled on the server. If you rely on setting the top 10 over the view, be assured it's going to return whatever it's got in the queries, the whole data table, and then it's going to filter it down to 10 rows there. And if you don't put your filters on, so if I've just taken that back out, the way this is going to work is when I run that now, yes, I'll get my games back. Yes, I'll get my games back, but it's effectively, even from OpenQuery, it's still doing the query on the server, so it's not processing all this information, but then it's passing it back. But if you do this and don't put your where clauses on or whatever and things like that, it is still going to try and pull back 65 or 64,000 rows, and then it's going to say, well, out of that 64,000 rows, I'm only interested in the top 10. So you have to have a play about with how it all kind of fits together, but what works for you. But that is in essence it. And I'm in the process of doing this on a production system at work where we're looking at separation of concern on reporting and core databases. It was an architecture we inherited, so it's kind of, I'm looking at the best ways. I've been learning as I go. I've used linked servers before in other production environments, and they work quite well, even over different languages where they conform to SQL 92. But yeah, so that's a simple explanation, and I really hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching.